It's a rather brisk 6:20. I was only going to have one class today, a lab, but then I remembered lab is bi-weekly. Lab is only once every 2 weeks. So I didn't have to do jack today except for sleep and eat, which in a bulking context is fucking sick. So plan for legs before even getting into any nitty-gritty details. The plan is to just go as nuts as possible. Hamstrings will be basic enough. Honestly, I might even take it easy on hamstrings in terms of volume and try to make this more of a quad biased leg day. So hamstring curls, I'm sure, maybe 4 or 5 sets. And then quads will be the real star of the show. I definitely want to do leg extensions, barbell squats, Smith machine sissy squats, and then maybe some single leg machine leg press. I think those four jumbled up together will add up to a pretty solid quad day. And yeah, yeah, maybe even in that order. Definitely leg extensions first, because for me, as of late, well, I used to do squats first. Like I would do a little bit of leg extensions just as a warm up. But so the heavy set of squats used to be my first working set. But I've been liking doing a few working sets of leg extensions just so I'm really, I mean, of course, warmed up, but almost just even pumped too. Like squatting with a quad pump for the leg extensions, even just 2 sets, it feels pretty fucking good. It's almost like, I don't know, like the action of having a muscle be pumped, it makes it a little bit more springy in a sense, right? Like once my quads get pumped up, they don't want to bend so much. Like if this is my knee right here in the middle, if my quads up here are really pumped, they don't really want to bend so much. So it's almost like giving me a little bit of assistance on the reps because my quads have a little bit more tension in them just from being a little bit pumped. So whether or not that makes the squat reps more effective, hard to say, but it does feel pretty good. So I think definitely heavy squats. I don't want to go too heavy, or well, I don't want to go too heavy for too many sets, like the last leg day I did, where I did 3 sets of squats with 5 plates. The first set was 9 reps, solid. Second set was 8 reps, also pretty solid. But the third set, I was so fatigued in my lower back that my stability was totally fucking gone because I'm not used to doing so much squat volume. So maybe from having done that, I'll be a little bit stronger. But I don't really have a specific goal of building up a really crazy strong lower back from like deadlifts or whatever else because it's just not in my fucking it's just not in my goal book, you know? Like in terms of my back development, I want fucking wide ass lats and thick traps so that, a relatively, of course, developed. Like when I'm lean, I've still got a Christmas tree, but I don't need like massive erectors like a power lifter. I kind of want everything around my hips as small as possible, and then everything upwards and below as wide as possible. Going for that Dorito look, as it were. But no matter what the leg day ends up looking like, I know it'll be a good pump. Honestly, I mean, I can't remember the last time I had a bad lift. Like, if you told me to pinpoint the last time I had a lift where it was actually like bad, and I left the gym like, oh, that was fucking total shit. I could not fucking tell you when that was. Even the days that I do feel like shit, super fatigued, or maybe not fatigued, but like tired, kind of out of it. By the time I actually get into the gym, do a few warm up sets, I'm in the fucking zone, you know? So whether or not that's just luck or if I'm very, let's just say, not prone to being swayed from having a good lift based on like how I feel in the moment, whatever. But I'm definitely not complaining about that state of affairs because no matter what kind of state I'm in entering the gym, if every lift I can finish it reasonably pumped, fatigued, I know I did some good work, and I go home and eat and know that I had some stimulus to recover from, that's fucking badass. So, not really sure if I have a point to make there. I'm just kind of making a little observation. Ugh. I can feel the hostility amped, popping cherries, starting to take effect. I'm starting to get a little bit of a tingle. So let's park this thing. Hope that not everyone at the fucking rec center is doing legs. And that is a big hope. I swear every time I come in here, there's like a group of 8 people circulating, working in on one leg extension. Not awesome, but I'm feeling lucky. Maybe everybody's doing arms or something. Okay, I've been informed this out of order sign used to be on this machine. It seems to be in order to me, so I'm going to hit it, but maybe I'll use a little bit more caution than normal. But full stack, squeeze hard at the bottom. This isn't really a heavy machine, so this might be kind of a lengthier set, upwards of maybe 20 or so reps, but I don't mind that. In terms of volume, just as like a general rule, bodybuilding wise, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to go below 6. Even 7 is a bit low for me. Usually I like at least 8. And then in one set at most, I can get in the 25 range, maybe even 30. Obviously not for the most part. I'd say it's like a normal distribution. Usually I'm probably floating around the 12 to 13 area, and it'll get less frequent going higher volume and lower volume than that. But let's just hit this shit. Okay. A few more like that. Let's just do one more. Whew. Okay. Let's find a leg extension. I don't mind going a little bit lower volume on quad. I mean on hamstrings, because for one thing, I think my quads need a little bit more growth relative to my hamstrings. But then also, your hamstrings do come into play a little bit on pressing. So since I'm going to do some squats and a little bit of machine leg press, I think then I'll get a little extra something something. But let's move over one machine and get quads started. I've already warmed up with a few sets, so let's just fucking go nuts with the stack. Okay. Let's repeat that a few more times. Okay. One more. Oh, all right, this would be a little bit of an alternating set. 5 reps left leg, 5 on the right, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then maybe a double leg burnout at the end if I think it's necessary. Okay. All right. Let's go squat. All right, let's get fucking real. Yeah, that's good. Fuck. Ah. Oh my god. I was trying to figure out some way to elevate my heels on this movement, but I tried putting a bumper plate on the pad like I was doing with the squats, but it felt like my feet were just going to slide out of place. So I think just a normal Smith machine set or a normal 60 squat set should do the trick. I'll probably do a couple too. Okay. Let's do some leg extensions and then skedaddle. All right, so my quads are actually not as pumped as they've ever been, but I really don't feel like I'll be doing myself any good with some more leg extensions. That heavy set of squats was definitely the star of the show, and those leg extensions in the beginning of the workout were a pretty perfect opening act. So let's see how they're looking. And I know for a fact when I go home and eat a fucking caniac or something, whatever it ends up being, and I'll be contributing some nutrients to some fucking quad growth. I think I'm going to try to get into heavy squats again. And of course, obviously that was a heavy set, but I mean really heavy, like 600 for 10. Sounds of mechanical tension, but let's not focus on that right now and just think about legs. So you tell me how we're looking. I'm satisfied with that, at least for now. So I definitely want to get these quads big enough where these pants don't even fit, or these shorts can't even fit around them. But until then, I think I'm on a solid track. So let's there's nothing else to discuss. Hamstrings was really good, even though it was just 4 sets. Still, when I was sitting down on the leg extension right after finishing hamstrings, getting to the top position of the leg extension felt like I was stretching my hamstrings so much because they were so tight just from being pumped up. I definitely want to get some more RDLs going. I know I've been saying that, but I think I'll actually do it soon. But I don't know, man. Hamstrings feel so fucking good. Hamstring curls. And they're not too small either. But I think a little bit of hip hinging, it'll do me good. So I'm going to loiter, chat, maybe even go up to the snack bar, get like some Gatorade and some fruit snacks or something. Just some very fast digesting carbs. And go home and eat. So for me, let's do all that. But for you, let's cut to the freaking car. That was a fucking baller set of squats. I'm going to do those more often. Yeah. It's not like I'm a power lifter. It's not like I think if I grow my squats weight, I think it's going to directly correlate to fucking quad gains. But I will say, people with big legs typically squat a lot of weight. So, following that logic, some heavy squats are going to be good for me. I'm not going to try to get insanely heavy with them. I think 6 is probably the most that would ever really be necessary. But 6 plates for 10. That's a cool set. I'm sure that'll happen within a few weeks. If not, maybe even, I don't know. I've done 6 plates for 8 on a previous bulk, but the only reason I'm not really squatting that heavy, or as heavy as that rather, is just because I haven't been squatting super consistently. I kept tweaking my adductors a little bit. I'm not really sure exactly what from, but that would kind of keep me from squatting every leg day. And doing something like that repetitively, right? Heavy S set, maybe add a 10 on the side for the next day. It makes progressive overload pretty easy. Now, if you have to take days off for, yeah, fucking injuries or whatever, then it's going to kind of cut that weight progress short. That's why I'm not benching insanely heavy right now. None of this 4-plate craziness, because I've kind of had to take a little bit of time off of super heavy squats. One of the boys walking home. Or I've had to take some time off a really heavy bench because I pulled my left chest a little bit. So as I get more consistent with heavy loads, then it makes progressive overload a bit easier. When it comes to progressive overload, are you one of the guys who's walking around with a training log and you're writing every lift? I'm not making fun of you if you do. I'm just asking. For me, I find it a little bit more, at least easier, to just kind of focus on making sure each lift I go as heavy as I can for, a normal amount of reps, 8 to 12 or whatever. And as long as I do that, then that will be a really hard set, one that's going to, push me past whatever state I'm in after I, eat enough food and recover from it, to where over time, as long as you do that, if every time you hit a certain muscle group, you hit as much weight as you can for like, your heavy sets, then you sort of just progressive overload will sort of just kind of happen, you know. But then again, you have to constantly be pushing yourself. Like if you're sort of, let's just say you're a little bit more inclined to maybe think to yourself, oh, I feel kind of weak today. I'm not going to go that heavy on bench. Or maybe you're letting your kind of subjective feeling play a role into what kind of sets that you do. Like maybe if you feel a little bit off, then you're like, oh, I'll just go light today. Then it's going to be a little bit trickier, because even though some days you might feel a little bit weaker, I mean, I'll have some days where my legs feel fucking weak. Like I feel kind of, not really, but almost drained in a way. But I still work up to, a really heavy squat set and I can still move the weight. Of course, it may feel a little bit harder than normal, but you're still capable of doing it. So for those people, it may be a little bit more important to track that shit because it'll almost show them like, okay, I can do 225 for 10. I just did it last week. So let's try to do 235 for something. So I could see the benefit there. But apart from that, I don't know. I've never really been into it. Like when I think of tracking my lifts, I just don't really do it. I just know how much I can do on movements and make sure I get as close to that as I can. So tomorrow is going to be a chest day. I think, I don't know what I think. I don't know where I'm going to go. I know it'll be a good lift, but one of my buddies, Nathan, was telling me about this kind of like basement gym that's pretty close to, where I live now. So maybe we'll make a trip out there. He showed me some pictures. It looks pretty cool. But I saw one. So I always scroll through the comments. And I kept seeing a couple like, why does Sam lift at public gyms? Why not? What are you talking about? I lifted at public gyms before. Why would I stop that because of recording it? I do, look, I am aware there is kind of a, you're definitely drawing eyes just from busting out a fucking tripod. So I could see how people may not love it, but whatever. Whoops, just gotta deal with it. But yeah, I mean the weight's weight, whatever. What's the point of like trying to? And even then, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like? There's no. What even is a private gym? Am I supposed to like rent out a fucking warehouse at school and try to fill it up with $1 billion of equipment? That's fucking nuts. Oh man, weight's weight. You can get a good lift anywhere. You know, so that's my sort of stance on that. I don't care where the dumbbells are, as long as I have access to them and nobody gets mad at me for making noise. Then that is fine by me. So, plan for tonight: go home, eat, chill, do some more laundry, eat some more, go to bed. Pretty classic ender of all my fucking days as of late. I have a little bit of schoolwork too. I should probably get on, but I'm gonna make sure I eat my meals first. I'm gonna make sure I eat my meals first. So, yeah, man, what's up with you? Have you been bulking up? Have you? How heavy are you? 190. Oh, shit, all right, getting closer to 200 there, pal. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I don't have any cool. Actually, I will say this. Oh, I noticed a bit of a trend of like positive like motivational, like get on your grind posts on Instagram and on TikTok from a lot of really big creators. And this is why, for the most part, whenever I say anything like that, or like I go on like some kind of little motivational rant, I honestly sound kind of, I feel like I sound kind of cheesy when I do it, because half these guys, like half these, I mean, it's fucking everybody. It's like lifters, uh, streamers, just random like influencer characters. They're all posting this like motivational shit, and the sentiment is there, which I love, which is badass. Like hearing this shit about like, discipline and consistency and whatever. I think the fact that people are talking about that is really cool. The more it's in your, the more something pops up in your mind, the more likely it's maybe going to stick. But half the people who I see saying this shit, I don't know. I just don't believe it at all. Like they're just saying it because it's a trend. So I feel like it's a little bit goofy there. But it's just a little observation I've been noticing. So 256 this morning, not 257, which I would have hoped. Maybe we'll be 257 tomorrow morning after I get the rest of my calories in. 260. 260 is coming. And then 265. And then 270. And then 300. Well, that's a ways away if that ever happens. But not out of the question. I will say this, 300, not totally out of the question. Give that a solid maybe. But that's all I got. Good leg day. Happy with that set of squats. That was kind of the highlight. I still kind of fucking feel my legs burning. That's all I gotta say. So I'll see you tomorrow for chest. And then I think you know that there's something you should be doing on a daily basis, which you're probably not doing. So just take with that what you will. I'll see you next time.